Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I've made a video. I have been busy basically filming online classes during lockdown and it's been quite a lot. It's definitely more work than just teaching in the flesh, but I got used to it and we've now got filming and editing down to like 3 days, which is really good. Today's video is all about how I learn lines when I have got a script to learn for an acting job. I've got my cup of tea, so feel free to go and grab yours and we shall begin. Honestly, it's really weird talking to a camera again. I'm so used to like demonstrating a dance or drama thing. And also I don't have to be as formal, which is the weirdest thing. I've been so used to being so formal. So just a little warning as well, this is not a video for if you have got like dyslexia or anything like that and you struggle learning lines. I'm not going to be giving any advice on that because I'm not an expert in that. This is just me and how I learn lines. So I suggest that you do a little bit of research if you want to find some tips on how to help you learn lines if you do have dyslexia. If I find any, I will link them down below for you. So basically, as soon as I get a script, I will just read the whole thing from cover to cover and then I will go in with a highlighter. I find like colour is really helpful to be able to pick things out. It really helps me to focus in on those bits, and I will also actually highlight any actions that I have to do because sometimes they can be forgotten about. So I will do that and then at least I've got kind of a bright visual thing there that can help me get the lines in my head. Then the next thing that I will do, I will read it out loud. So after I've read it all in my head, like I just said the first time, the second time I will actually read it out loud so I can get used to how the words might sound and what sort of expression I might do on certain bits. And then once I've done all of that, I will start to actually learn the lines. So I will take it a line at a time. I don't try and pressure myself into learning a huge chunk in one go. I find a line at a time is actually better. And the fact that I've also read it through twice already, both in my head and out loud, actually my brain is able to start to pick up on certain lines, especially if they're short lines or if they're really memorable lines. Then that's what I will do. So I will start to learn it a line at a time. And what I will do is I will say the first line reading it and then I will put the script down and then I will say the line again. It's basically a repetitive process. That's how I learn the best. And then what I will do is I will slowly build up those lines bit by bit until I have got, say, a paragraph of what I need to learn. Now obviously if I'm doing like an acting piece, like a monologue, or it's a very long speech in a play, then obviously that is how I will do it. What's really helpful for film and TV is actually sort of semi-learning the lines that the other characters are saying, because then what you can do is in your head you know when to come in to speak, because that's always the worst thing, is when you've learnt the script and then you go to actually act it out in an audition or practicing or whatever and you have no idea where to come in. That's the worst thing. So almost semi-learn the other characters' lines so you know when you can start to come in. Even if you just learn the last line from what they've been saying, then you know how to come in from that next point. And as well, if they've only got like a really short response, then it's even better just to learn that bit so you know that it flows on quite quickly afterwards. So one little thing I also do as well, if I find that I have not got something word perfect. Now, it totally depends on the project you're going for. I've been for some projects where they're like, it's cool if you just, you know, change some of the lines, that's totally fine. And then I have some ones where they want it line for line, word for word. So that's when I really have to make sure my brain is switched on for that. So if I'm in that sort of process where they want it exactly, and if I can't get one bit, and sometimes what I'll do is I will walk away from the script, then I will come back to it, because sometimes if you worry about a point so much, that point will come back to haunt you, because whenever you come to say that line, you automatically just fluff it. Like obviously not all the time, but it'll almost be like an automatic thing that your brain starts to do. It starts to learn the behavior of you not knowing that line. So then what I do is I will just walk away, you know, depending on what time scale I'm on, I'll either take, you know, 15 minutes, I'll take an hour, I'll take a day, I'll take whatever I need to. and then come back to it and continue. And then sometimes you'll actually find that it actually flows better if you take some time away from it. So then once I have learnt everything I need to learn, obviously if you're learning like a whole play, then this process is going to take a lot longer, and this next point may not necessarily apply to you. You might want to do this in chunks, but whatever you're learning, once I've learnt the whole thing, then what I will do is I will go over it a couple of times. And what I will sometimes do is, it depends again on how I'm feeling. One thing I'll do is I will either have the script and I will put my hand basically over my lines so I can read in the other character's lines, and then I again can have an idea of when I'm going to come in with my line. It's also really good for like learning the order, because sometimes you might have a script where it's like lots of random little sentences which don't actually flow that well. I've had some really interestingly written scripts which I have to just do, and so that's a good process to do. I will just take it, and so that I can almost get the flow of what line comes next after the other character has said something. So I will do that, and I will cover up my lines and I'll go from there. Or another good thing that I do is I will literally just put the script away and I will just say my lines, and then in my head have a gap so I can get used to just not having the script there. Now when it comes to actually having a script in an audition, again, it totally depends on how I'm feeling. If I'm really not comfortable with what I've learned, for instance, if the script isn't that well written, I will sometimes just have the script there as like a safety blanket. I won't necessarily look at it, but it's like a safety thing. But the ideal thing is that you don't want to have that script with you. You want to either have it on the desk if you're in an audition, or just in your bag. And you know, there's no shame if there is a line that you fluff. There's no shame in that whatsoever. And I think that's the other thing, is don't freak out so much about, I've got to get it right, I've got to get every single line perfect. And then if you do fluff a line, then just having that in the back of your mind and it really affecting your performance. So that's the other thing as well, you know, if there is a bit, for instance, I remember I had a script where actually the line didn't make sense. It wasn't actually grammatically correct, and also in general language it just wasn't, it just didn't flow as a normal sentence that someone would say. And I thought it was probably a mistake in the script where they just hadn't read that line through. And so then what I did was I just naturally changed it to make it sound natural, and it didn't matter. I think that's the thing, if there's that one line and it did matter, then they would say something, because it's not like the be all and end all. But yeah, so then after I have practiced the whole thing a couple of times, I will walk away from it again. I will come back to it the next day, and then I will see how much I remember. If I'm all good and I'm all okay and I know it, then what I'll do is I will just have a quick run through, maybe with someone that I know. I normally do it with my mum, but if you've got an actor friend, or if you go on to something like We Audition, you can grab someone on there to go through it with you, just so you can have a practice with someone else filling in the lines, because sometimes it can be completely different and it can sometimes throw you a little bit if someone does it differently to how you think they might portray the other character. So then I will do that, and then I'm ready to go. And then if, for instance, I have got like quite a lot of time before having to perform the lines, then I will just practice it once a day. I won't dwell on it too much. I will just practice it once a day. But that's normally my process for learning my lines. So thank you so much for watching. I would love to know if you found this helpful at all. Obviously everyone learns in a completely different way, and if you have got a different method, then I would love it for you to pop it down below in the comments. There might be someone who doesn't really find my method useful but might find someone else's method useful. Obviously this is just what I do, this is just how I learn my lines, and it works for me basically. But if there's something else that works for you, then please pop it down in the description box, and it can also be a little hub of information for how to learn lines for different people. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please do subscribe and like it if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video.